A man stood far outside the village gates, wrapped in torn cloth, his face hidden from the world. His skin was marked by disease, and wherever he walked, people turned away in fear. Children were pulled indoors. Doors were shut. If anyone came near, he was forced to cry out, "Unclean, unclean," so others would know to avoid him. Day after day, he lived alone. No family, no friends, no touch, only silence, pain, and memories of the life he once had. There was a time when everything was different. He had a home filled with laughter. He had work to do each morning and loved ones waiting for him at night. But when the sickness came, everything changed. One by one, people stepped back from him until no one remained. His bed became the cold ground outside the city. His roof became the sky. At night, while others slept in warmth, he stared into the darkness and wondered if God had forgotten his name. Years passed this way. His body weakened, but what hurt most was not the disease. It was being unseen. It was hearing people speak about him as if he were already dead. It was remembering what it felt like to hold his mother's hand, to embrace his family, to stand close without fear. Some nights he whispered into the wind, "God, if you still hear me, please remember me." Then, one morning, travelers passed near the road speaking with excitement. They talked about a teacher named Jesus. They said the blind were seeing again. They said the lame were walking. They said hearts were changing wherever he went. The man listened from a distance, barely daring to hope. Many stories had reached him before, but none had changed anything. Yet something about the name Jesus stirred life inside him. For the first time in years, hope knocked softly at the door of his heart. Days later, a crowd gathered near the edge of town. The man heard the noise and climbed a hill to see. In the center of the people stood Jesus. He was not dressed like a king. He had no guards, no throne, no sword. Yet peace surrounded him like light surrounds the morning sun. The sick pressed close. The broken reached for him, and instead of pushing them away, he welcomed them. The man's heart pounded. He knew the law. He knew the rules. Someone like him was not allowed near the crowd. If he stepped forward, people would shout. Stones might be thrown. He could be driven away. But if he stayed where he was, nothing would ever change. So, trembling with fear and hope, he began to move. As soon as people saw him, panic spread through the crowd. They backed away, covering their mouths. Some shouted angrily. Others pointed in disgust. But the man kept going until he stood before Jesus. Then he fell to his knees in the dust. Tears ran down his face as he bowed low and said, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." The crowd went silent. Everyone expected Jesus to step back like all the others had done. Everyone expected distance, rejection, fear. But Jesus did something no one could believe. He stepped forward. Slowly, gently, Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. For years, no human hand had touched him. No embrace, no comfort, no kindness. In a single moment, before the healing even came, that touch restored something disease had stolen long ago. It told him he was still human, still seen, still loved. Then Jesus spoke words that would change his life forever. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." At once, strength rushed through the man's body. The pain vanished. His skin became whole. The marks of disease disappeared before the eyes of everyone watching. He lifted his trembling hands and stared at them in disbelief. He touched his face. He wept openly in the road. The crowd that once recoiled now stood speechless at the power of mercy. Jesus told him to go and show himself to the priests, as the law required, and to give thanks to God. But the man could hardly contain his joy. He ran faster than he had in years. He crossed fields and roads he once walked in sorrow. Every step felt like a new life beginning. When he reached home, his family saw a figure coming from the distance. At first, they did not recognize him. Then his mother looked closer. Her hands shook. Tears filled her eyes. She ran to him, and for the first time in years, she held her son again. What disease had separated, mercy had restored. News of the miracle spread everywhere. People spoke not only of the healing, but of the touch. Many could understand power. Few understood compassion like that. The world had called the man untouchable. But Jesus moved closer when everyone else moved away. And that day, everyone learned something greater than the miracle itself. No one is too broken to be seen, too wounded to be loved, or too far gone to be touched by the grace of God.